morning, everyone. This is Steve. Welcome to this edition of Monday Morning Musings. Thanks for sticking with me on this series about the love of God. And I thought a great follow up to that series would be my second favorite New Testament epistle in the entire body of work of the New Testament, and that is Paul's letter to Philemon. Now, it's the shortest book in the Bible, but it is densely packed with fundamentals of the gospel. It is revelatory regarding their culture. There's humor, sarcasm, irony, wit. The whole letter is almost itself Paul making a joke, but making a point in the joke. And unfortunately, it doesn't come out in English the way we wish it might. And it's unusual for many because it's such a little letter, and normally when Christians begin or they're young in the faith, they want to read Romans and they want to read Galatians, and everybody wants to read Revelation and speculate about things they shouldn't speculate about. It's not normally on the top of people's lists in the sense of, well, what little book is going to really make an impact, or what little letter is going to make an impact. The reason this little letter is either number one or two of my most favorite epistles, or books for that matter, in the entire canon, it gives us insight into Paul's ethics. Otherwise, how does the gospel that Paul preached work out in real life in the context of a local church, in the context of interpersonal conflict with life and death implications? We'll explain that as we go into the little letter. With real personalities involved, with legalities involved, with apostolic authority involved. It is the most insightful letter that we have regarding the institution of Roman slavery, which we're going to spend probably a couple of sessions on. But the main thing is, anybody can talk a big game about the love of God this and the love of God that, the love of God this. But what does it really look like lived out? And what does it look like when there's money on the line, status on the line, life and death on the line, church cohesion on the line, relationships on the line, when there's a real cost? What does it look like? And what or where is the power in this thing called love? And what type of power does it have? What does that power look like? What does it look like expressed? How does love work? It's a practical letter because, folks, the bottom line is not how well we master the content of Scripture. The bottom line is how transformed we are to the new race of human beings that Paul preached as part of the cornerstone of his gospel. He preached Christ crucified, the resurrection from the dead, those are the two big ones, and then the new humanity / his ecclesiology, his doctrine of the church. Christ crucified, resurrection of the dead, the third human race has begun. The end has begun. There's a new type of human being. Well, what does that new type of being look like? How does that new type of being function in an oppressive society? A society is hostile to their very existence, a society based on values that the kingdom does not have, a society that would actually give you, this has very applicable points to today's existence as Americans, where you have political rights and you have certain rights under the law to justly and rightly implement some things. But is it a kingdom ethic? Probably not. And all these things play out in this little letter. And what we're going to do, I'm going to go through it socially, culturally, and relationally. I want to set up the drama that was going on, most likely in Colossae. And then I'm going to go verse by verse through that little letter. And you're going to see that every doctrinal element of the gospel is contained in this little letter. And here's the big thing: lived out in practicality in this letter. In a local church conflict with an overseeing apostle slash bishop involved in trying to bring reconciliation to two people who are not only just not getting along, but where a civil law has been broken and one person has rights and one person does not. How does that all work out if you're a believer in Jesus? So my conviction is I think this letter should be studied, 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 memorized, practiced, because the gospel in its essence is contained in the shortest letter of the New Testament. And I look forward to getting into it with you, and I'll see you the next time.